is shown then. And about 30 minutes later than scheduled, final race of the weekend, final race of the Vauxhall day. Red lights go on, they go out, and the BMW Car Club Racing Championship gets underway in a spectacular start as the cars head off towards Redgate Corner for the first time. It is going to be Ben Pearson that leads into the first corner, though. It looks like it's going to be Mark Burton up to second position, Daniel Pastana down to third place as they head through the first couple of corners. Through Redgate they've gone, now down through Hollywood, so it's certainly Burton second, Pastana third. Lee Piercy is in fourth position. I think that's Paul Travers in fifth, although getting past him now, or alongside him certainly for fifth position, is the number 210 car of Adam Reed in the Skegness tyres backed car. They are still side by side, those two, as they head out of Old Hairpin through Schwantz Curve up towards McLean's. Though it's Ben Pearson with a very convincing lead.
Yeah, and Schweikart trying to get past Adam Reed for the Class 6 lead as they go through McLean's corner. And Singleton involved in that too. The top three in Class 6 absolutely together, but it is Adam Reed that leads it up over the curve. Stephen Schweikart looking a lot more racy than we've seen from him in the previous race. Perhaps just out there to score the points to win a championship, as he's done that now. He is looking for a class win, perhaps for second, third and fourth, though. Some feisty racing going on there as Daniel Pastana defending from Lee Piercy, the former Formula 4 driver from the early 2000s before he went motorcycle racing, then came back and won this championship last year. Can't quite get the batter, though, of Daniel Pastana, though, in that XM3 Cup car. And when he goes past Mark Burton, he jumps ahead of Mark Burton out of the hairpin to grab second spot, and that leaves Mark Burton prone to Lee Piercy, his class rival.
Yeah, but Burton later on the brakes gets back through on the inside of Pastana there. So the M2 class car back ahead of the Invitation class car, the M3. The only M3 in the race, and it looks like Piercy has managed to follow him through as well, up into second position. Up towards Redgate Corner they go, and now it's Piercy having a look up the inside of Mark Burton for the M2 class lead here, and he's not quite able to make it work. Burton runs out fairly wide though on the exit of Redgate Corner. Possibly that gives him a slightly better line through Hollywood, and these three locked together. Two M2 class cars, the slightly more powerful, you would think, M3 of Daniel Pastana, who is third in this group, fourth overall. Back in fifth is Paul Travers, and Adam Reed it is leading Class 6 from Stephen Schweikart.
And Piercy really putting the pressure on then. Mark Burton, who won the Low Course Championship in 2018. Lee Piercy, is that him locking up, or is that Pastana that's trying to get involved as well? So this is quite a dice going on here for second place. In the background is that three-way battle for the Class 6 lead behind Paul Travers. There's some good dicing in the early stages of this one. Burton and Piercy both run much wider than Pastana, who might have a little bit more power with that M3 engine to pull him up alongside Lee Piercy, who in turn is in the wheel tracks of Mark Burton. So this is all going to get quite congested into the S's. They slot themselves through with Piercy up on two wheels over the curb on the left-handed element of the corner. Meanwhile, well up the road already is Ben Pearson in the 2 series. So some really nice battling in the early stages, all behind Ben Pearson, of course.
That's right, so 16 and a half minutes left to go. If we had a change there, we have, because Schweikart has got himself up ahead of Adam Reed, hasn't he? That's a change. And Singleton is at the back of that group, so he's third in Class 6 at the moment, and Schweikart is leading it. Meanwhile, in the M2 class, it's Piercy pulling alongside Mark Burton. Headlamps ablaze. He's going to be on the outside line for Redgate Corner. Mark Burton leaving him just about enough room, but no more than strictly necessary. And Burton continues to lead. Does use a bit of the green concrete, though, on the exit of Redgate Corner. He did get some penalties, didn't he, in the earlier race for exceeding track limits, so just needs to be a little bit careful with that. It's Burton, Piercy, and then the 12 car of Daniel Pastana in a different class that is in third of this group as the cars make their way out of the Old Hairpin through Schwantz Curve and about to make the climb up to McLean's.
Some interesting graphics on the side of Lee Piercy's car this year. It's a much more plainer car last year, but much more colourful for this season, although it's been a less successful season for Lee. He's had some class wins on the way, but not like last season, of course, when he won the championship. He's not won, I don't think, since Brands Hatch.
Problems for the number 70 car there. That's Philip White, and he has actually only completed one lap so far in this race, so think he's obviously got some pretty serious issues, and probably not going to be much longer for this race.
Battle for the Class 6 lead. Tom Singleton, who's just got past Adam Reed, is now trying to get the better of Stephen Schweikart. Can't quite manage it. But Schweikart certainly looks a lot more racy than we've seen him in the last couple of meetings. I wonder if that championship was bearing on his mind before now. Because he hasn't won a race in the class since Snetterton in July. So a couple of months ago. But he's pretty keen, I think, to go out on a win now with no concerns about how the title race is going.
That's right, as we watch this battle down towards Goddard, and certainly Singleton closed up a lot on Schweikart into that final corner of the lap, and it's side by side here with Pastana now attacking Lee Pearcey, going around the outside of him into Redgate corner, so that's for third place overall. It splits the two M2 class leaders as well. So Pastana past Pearcey. Can he now make some progress towards the back of Mark Burton's car, who's about a second behind at the start of the lap?
Pearcey's dropped a long way back. I wonder if his car as well. It's had those issues lately. Here's the battle for sixth, but for a class lead. Stephen Schweikart, the champion, with Thomas Singleton pushing and challenging around the outside there. So they go through the kink at Starkey's Bridge, and we've now got a race to leave the circuit here with Sean Jackson and Philip White not wanting to take part anymore. Lee Pearcey's car, the door has opened in the wrong direction.
What on earth has gone on there? That's bizarre, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. All my years watching racing, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. So the passenger side front door has opened. It is a four-door car, isn't it? And it's clinging on for dear life. That's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen on a racetrack. Well, possibly not that extreme, but it's pretty unusual. So that's possibly one of the reasons why Lee Pearcey was getting more slowly. Possibly there's some kind of vibration, or we could feel that starting to open up, and obviously he can't continue to drive at speed, because the danger is that would just fly off, and obviously that would be rather dangerous.
So the door hinges on the other side, so I don't actually understand how it's still on, but I don't think there was any contact or anything that caused it, was there? So that is, as you say, very unusual, and a real shame, because we were having a good battle between him and Mark Burton for the class lead up until that point. So Lee Pearcey's woes continue in the most unusual of ways. So Daniel Pastana's up to third, and in the Class 6 battle, Tom Singleton's got ahead of Stephen Schweikart. So Singleton does seem to have good pace in that class. He won the two races at Brands Hatch last time out on the Indy circuit, and he won earlier in the year at Oulton Park too, and it looks like he might be on course for a double win here at Donington too. Already pulled out 1.7 seconds over the class champion and the overall champion, Stephen Schweikart. Some good battles further back as well, actually. For a 10th position, I think this is Stuart Pywell versus David Noond in the oldest car on the grid, the E30, the 1984 car, and it goes through. The oldest car on the grid gets up into the top 10.
Does indeed. Goes ahead then of Stuart Pywell, who is in Class A. And then a bit further back behind these, you've got Paul Laramie, and then you've got our Cup class leader, which is Gareth Thomas. We think he wrapped up the Cup class title earlier on as well.
Ben Pearson's gone even quicker than he went earlier. He's on a 1 minute 41.99. So that's another record in the championship, beating well underneath Mike Cutt's previous best, and quicker than what he did earlier today as well.
That's right. I don't think we've had a record in the M2 class, have we?
Yeah,
today.
The regulations have changed quite a bit in that, haven't they? Because originally we used to have sort of less powerful M3s, but now that's right, for the more powerful six-cylinder non-M engined cars.
That's right. In Class 6, I think we do have a lap record there set earlier. Tom Singleton saying that.
I believe there's going to be a look at over the winter at the regulations to see if anything can be done to entice more people, particularly into M2, which has at times not had very many entries, although a better entry today. But I think there's quite little that separate M2 and Class 6 cars this year, so perhaps something to try and spread that out a little. Has Paul Travers now got an issue?
Well, the bonnet was just vibrating. I don't know if you noticed that a moment ago. So is that something he is mindful of, not wanting that to sort of fly open and smash the windscreen. But yes, that was vibrating. So whether Paul Travers' reduced pace now has anything to do with that or not, I'm not quite sure. But it looks like he's going to pull out of the race, I'm afraid. I think he's just going to pull off the circuit somewhere.
There's rather a race of attrition that's developed from what were the first couple of laps. We had some really good racing in the front positions. Class 6 is still going pretty strong, but not quite as close as it was because Tom Singleton's pulled clear from Stephen Schweikart and then Adam Reed not far behind. And then a big gap back to the rest. David Aston's Z3, the best of the rest in 8th. Ahead of Chris Blakey. Oh, there is Aston, and he's under pressure actually from Chris Blakey, isn't he?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Blakey, the driver from Lincoln, the IT consultant, in his second season of racing, drives this 2001 BMW 330 that he prepares himself and chases after David Aston, who I think is in his first run with BMW Car Club, raced in road sports before. It's a different style of race against more similar cars, I guess. But it's good. There's not many Z3s that have raced.
No, not at all. And pretty little car. And something a bit different, isn't it? The road. So there's Paul Travers having pulled off the circuit at just under the bridge there.
Is that on the old track when they used to go through the bridge in the
Almost,
before the war, long time ago?
Even I can't remember that.
Auto Unions and Mercedes Grand Prix cars.
So here's Aston. He's up to 7th now with the demise of Travers. He's in the invitation class, of course, and Chris Blakey behind him is 4th within Class 6 at the moment, behind Singleton, Schweikart and Reed. And they're turning their way through the Craner curves as Mark Burton. He's coming up to lap the number 42 car of Paul Neville, who's in 17th position, one of the Cup class cars. One of these 325 Ti compacts. And of course Burton's racing over here because he's still got Daniel Pastano within about a second of him, and it's a car that probably is a little bit quicker theoretically than Burton's car, so we'll see if there was a change in the remaining 7 3/4 minutes.
Both have gone quicker than race 1. Mark Burton did a 47.4 in race 1. He's on a 1 minute 46.6 in this race, where Pastano did a 48.2 earlier and he's on a 1 minute 47.4 this time out. Oh, here's the race leader. I don't think we've seen him since the start of the race. Ben Pearson is almost a mile, well, he probably is a mile ahead, isn't he? Literally a mile ahead of anybody else. He's completed 7 laps in darkening conditions here at Donington Park. If you're at the circuit, I think you've got the Vauxhall Owners Parade after this, which I think most people that are left at the circuit are probably going to take part in, so I hope you enjoy that. But for the racing, this is the last part of the day, and the last part of our live streamed action on the 750 Motor Club pages. 36 seconds, that's what Ben Pearson's lead advantage is.
It's probably not quite a mile at this stage, I don't think, but it's not far. It probably will be by the end of the race. We've had victory margins of 1.5 minutes during the course of this weekend in other races, which is equivalent to probably more than 2 miles.
So what's it need to be? 2/5 of a lap, does it, to be a mile?
Something like that. So we're not quite at that yet. Aston there in the number 80 car, still under pressure from Blakey. Nice little scrap these two having for 7th and 8th position. They are. Oh, what a big off, and that is for Adam Reed, isn't it? That has gone off in the number 210 car. He was 3rd within Class 6.
No, he's good, mate. David Drinkwater had a very large accident right there, and now Adam Reed has 2. So that's a real shame, both of them. But for Adam Reed, he's gone fronting, which is a big problem. Lots of damage to important parts. Good to see Adam out of the car. That is a real shame for Adam Reed. The driver makes very little mistakes. That's why he won the Burkitt Relay twice. Now there's more cars going off, so is the track in some kind of issue?
Well, that was the 27 car of Chris Blakey, who was going to be 7th with the demise of Adam Reed. May still be 7th, but he's lost ground to David Aston, certainly. So we just need to keep an eye on what happens with that car that is off of Adam Reed, but the main piece of information there is that the driver was out of the car.
Yeah,
so 5 minutes or so of the race left to go.
Yeah, Adam okay, but his car is pretty wrecked, I should think. So that is a big disappointment. So that car might not be taking part in the Burkitt Relay next month. He might have to revert back to his 4-cylinder compact.
So where is Ben Pearson on circuit at the moment? He is probably not too far away from completing another lap, I don't think.
So yellow flags from the top of Hollywood, which means Stephen Schweikart should be staying behind that lapped car.
And is.
So yellow flags all the way to Starkey's Bridge.
He doesn't want to do anything to jeopardise the championship now, does he?
Well, but all eyes are on you, Steve, so don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, and don't want to risk a disqualification or something like that, which
I think
could
that
compromise things.
Then that probably would change it, wouldn't it, if something like that happened?
Yeah, well, it could do, certainly.
But he did wait till the green flag, so all is okay.
Yeah, no, good driving there from Stephen Schweikart, as it could be. It's frustrating when you are tucked up behind a much slower car in that situation, but there's not a lot you can do. Rules are rules, and you have to not overtake under the yellow flag. You have to slow down, you have to be prepared to stop, because you literally never know what's around the next corner. Paul Neville, who has built that car up himself, a labour of love, has had an enjoyable season, I think, in his BMW 325 Ti.
Yeah, he used to track day the car and then built it to the Cup Class regs, so he could go racing this season, isn't it? First year for Paul. And I think he's done a full year too, so full commitment in his first season. It is a big commitment, isn't it? Financially and in time as well.
So there is Stephen Schweikart then. He's running second in Class 6 at the moment. Tom Singleton it is that's leading the way in that class, quite a few seconds ahead now. There's Daniel Pastana, who is exactly 2 seconds behind Mark Burton, or was at the beginning of this lap, so hasn't been the threat that I thought he might be.
Yeah. Oh, a very slow car there. Is that Sergio Menez?
It is, yep. So the number 79 car also returns. Yeah, you can tell it's the end of the season, can't you? Because some of these cars are literally on the last legs, it would seem.
But Pastana's car all in old M3 Cup livery, isn't it? It's even got the old banner, so it's like going historic racing in original livery.
It is, yeah. Although the M3 Cup was relatively short-lived, only a couple of seasons we had from it.
Now, is Sergio Menez going to get the car around the circuit? This is must feel extremely slow. I think it would be quite slow on the road, wouldn't it, let alone on a racetrack?
Yeah, well, there's Mark Burton. He's in second place. He's just coming towards the end of his 10th lap, which Ben Pearson has already completed.
He's been on quite a run because he's won all but one race since Alton Park in Class M2. Just Paul Travers came out on top in the wet at Brands Hatch last time out.
Here's Ben Pearson then, race leader. Again, we've not seen a huge amount of him during the course of this race because, frankly, he's not been doing anything very interesting. And obviously, towards the end of the first race, he did do something interesting, which was slow down and stop for a period of time. But he did manage to get back out into the race and to win it still by half a minute. But he's hoping for no dramas this time. I think he knew what the problem was and was able to plan around that. He's coming up to lap the number 27 car now of Chris Blake, who's still in 7th place despite that off that he had a couple of laps ago.
So we're down to about 14 cars probably left now, aren't we? Which is about half the cars that we started the season with.
Yeah, we've lost a few during the course of the weekend, let alone this race, unfortunately. And it is a bit of a rotating cast of drivers you have in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. Lots of different drivers have raced in the championship during the course of the season, but not all of them do every round of the championship.
Indeed, there's normally, like there is this weekend, a good number of invitational entries for drivers who aren't registered for the championship, and then even people who are registered for the championship don't do every round either. So I think for registered drivers, 23, 35, 40, 43 drivers I reckon we've had over the course of the season. There have been a lot of invitational drivers on top of that. So if you had them all together, you'd end up needing heat races.
Yeah, absolutely. They all turn up at the same time. And that's what I'm sure, excuse me, Neil McDonald, who's behind the championship, would very much like to happen. Get more of the drivers doing more of the races rather than picking and choosing to make bigger grids and more exciting races for everybody.
The thing is, if you've got a BMW, you could race in a lot of places
you can,
just on this weekend, let alone elsewhere.
one of the most versatile cars you could probably want, because it's competitive in so many different arenas, isn't it? We've seen them in Club Enduro, we've seen them in Road Sports, we've seen them in the Armed Forces Race Challenge, and that's just this weekend. But other racing clubs also offer homes for these kind of cars.
Gareth Thomas on terms for another Cup Class win. And he's had a good end to the season too, because he's won every race since Netterton. So he won both races there, both races at Brandon. He's on terms for both wins here at Donington too. A long way clear of Sam Walton by the looks of it. So William Lake's issues were so big it put him out of this race as well, which is unusual for the Cup Class cars.
That's a shame, isn't it, really? We also didn't see Kevin Granger out for this one, having DNF'd early on. He had various dramas, didn't he?
Ben Pearson's coming through the last corner for the last time, I think.
He is. Clock's counted down to 0. Checkered flag is waved. And 2 wins in the day for Ben Pearson in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship in that BMW M235i. And he's done very well indeed. Nice little battle going on all the way to the line here. And it looks like 27 Chris Blakey has got ahead of David Aspden on the run to the line there. So I think, have they swapped them around?
Yeah, I think he snuck past at the hairpin. They came into shot side by side.
Yeah,
a 6th position finish too for Chris Blakey.
Yeah, only 10th of a second between them. Here comes Paul Neville, who's going to be 3rd, I think, within the Cup class. Here's our 2nd place driver then. That's Mark Burton. He's not picked up any penalties this time around. He'll be pleased to note. He's just putting a lap there.
Got some bright lights.
He has got some bright lights. Crikey, if you have a car in front, I'm surprised you've not jumped out of the way. Because Mark Burton coming through in 2nd place. He's going to come up to the line, take the checker flag. He's going to win Class M2 as well. He's going to be ahead of Daniel Pastana, number 12, who also takes the Invitation Class win.
Now Mark Burton decided flashing lights to try and blind us, but I think we survived.
And then I think it's going to be a bit of a wait, because there's only Tom Singleton and Stephen Schweikart still on the lead lap. Schweikart just didn't take the flag, did he? Just in front of Ben Pearson, so he's still got probably half a lap or so to go. Here's Tom Singleton then to take 4th place overall, and he takes the checkered flag then.
Is that John Elsey at the background who's stayed to the bitter end?
It's good to see the photographers doing that, isn't it? Not all of them perhaps do, but John Elsey, the 750 Motor Club's official photographer, gets some brilliant pictures. I'm sure you'll see those posted on his website and across social media in the next few days. And no doubt some of them will be appearing in the yearbook, which will be published to mark the season's racing. There is Stephen Schweikart, the champion. He comes home, takes 2nd place within Class 6 and 5th position overall. And we'll have a look, if we can, at the results from that race. It was number 25, Ben Pearson, that took the win. He completed 12 laps, and he was 55.37 seconds clear of number 29, Mark Burton, in 2nd place. 3rd was number 12, Daniel Pastana. 4th, number 23, Tom Singleton. 5th was 43, Stephen Schweikart. 6th, number 27, Chris Blakey, a lap down. 7th, number 80, David Aspden. 8th, number 16, David Nunes. 9th was number 76, Stuart Pywell. 10th, number 31, Paul Laramie. And then our 11th was our class winner, number 68, Gareth Thomas in the Cup class from 12th, number 60, Carl McMillan, Sam Walton, number 6, and Paul Neville, number 42, I think, rounding out our finishers in the final race of the weekend, the BMW Car Club Racing Championship. Everyone else there, a non-finisher. So some quick final thoughts from you after this weekend, Josh.
Yeah, we've had some good racing, I think. Club Enduro particularly exciting, running all the way to the end of the race. That kept you guessing until the last couple of laps, really. We had some good racing yesterday, in particular from Mazdas, and Type R Trophy was pretty good too, wasn't it? And the Classic Stock Catch, that was good fun yesterday too.
It was indeed.
So yeah, we had some good racing, and there's more 750 Motor Club racing to come. Just one more for me. I think you've got a couple.
Yeah, Alton Park next weekend. No, 2 weekends time. The 7th of October, another championship finals day. With a variety of different categories on show there. And then it's the Burkitt 6-hour relay race at Silverstone at the end of October, with the championship finals on the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone the day after. Thanks once again to the marshals, all of the other officials of the 750 Motor Club that make this race meeting possible. From Josh Barrett and myself, it's good night. We're going to hand down to the pit lane for the final time this weekend to Andy McEwen. From all of us here, goodbye.
So for the final time this weekend, you join me in the Donington pit lane, where we've got our final race winner of the weekend, Ben Pearson, and Ben, that time around, slightly less stressful completion to the race. A few extra drops of fuel in that time.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, a few more litres of fuel in, enough to finish the race. Nice, easy race, no issues. Plain sailing.
Simple as that, really. I mean, it did look pretty flawless out there. Do you enjoy yourself when you're in a situation like that? Obviously, drivers enjoy a good battle, but sometimes you get your head down, nice clear track, a car working well, that can be good fun too.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, nice clear track, but yeah, it's a race and you want to be racing against people, not on your own. So, but yeah.
Nonetheless, good result for you. Is this you done for racing now for the season? Will we see you back again anywhere?
That's it for this year, yeah. Last one.
Excellent stuff. Well, congratulations. Brilliant way to end the 2023 season. Winners Garland is there waiting for you as well. Then Pearson, then victorious overall and within Class M1. Now, Mark Burton came home in second position that time around. And Mark, it looked like you were going to have a real fight on your hands, actually, with Lee up there in the early stages. He fell back, but even so, you still had your hands full.
Yeah, that was good fun. I said in our interview before that Lee would be up there, and he was. It was a really close start. He's just put a new engine in his car and he's right up with me now. I think I might have lost a bit of power over the year, so we kind of met in the middle a little bit, and there was nothing to be gained either way. And it was just a bit of defending, close racing, it was all fair. It was really enjoyable. It was sad to see him pull off because it was enjoyable. And then the M3 behind me, towards the end of the race, he was coming back at me, so at the point I thought I could sort of relax a bit, I started pushing again. But it was a really good race though.
Yeah, good fun it looked like out there. What do you reckon then? A bit of an engine refresh required over the winter now?
Yeah, I think so. That engine was an emergency. Put it in from a scrapyard about a year ago and we've not touched it since. So I think it's fair that we give it a bit of love this winter.
Well, it's not done you badly, that's for sure. 2 class wins for Mark Burton this weekend. Congratulations on that. And a second place overall class winner in Class M2. Whilst Daniel Pestana is back again on the podium, also winning within the invitational class as well. Your thoughts on that battle that you had with Mark? He was just saying how much he enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I couldn't seem to claw quite the gap back on Mark at all. A little bit in the first phase of the race, but then just gradually kind of stalled out basically. But my starts are a bit poor with this car. It's got a failing diff, so it's a bit rubbish off the line, but it was all good. Yeah, great racing. Good battle with Lee as well, I think. So hopefully his car's all right. 'Cause he dropped back, didn't he? But really good. Really enjoyed it. Great race. Yeah.
You obviously are entered into the invitational class this weekend, so you're battling against cars that sort of generate their lap time in different areas than you, but over the course of a lap it's all very even, so you've got to pick your moments to try and make a move.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely didn't have enough pace to attack Mark, I don't think. Even if I got there, I don't know if I would have got round him, other than this maybe being a little bit opportunistic with some of the traffic. But yeah, no, I'm not sure I had the pace to get him quite yet anyway, but yeah, bit of development for the car next year. Hopefully we'll be back, so it'll be really good.
Amazing stuff. Congratulations then on the 2 class wins, Daniel. So that brings to an end then our weekend of racing here at a slightly blustery Donington Park. But that is not it for the 750 Motor Club this season. They've still got one more live streamed event plus a single day of racing at Alton Park to come before that. But it's all now eyes to the Burkitt Relay Race, which is part of a big 2-day event for 2023. That's coming on the 28th and 29th of October. Live streaming courtesy of Alpha Live will be available in the usual places. So we hope to see many of you along for that one. For now, though, from myself, Andy McEwen, Ian Soman and Josh Barrett in the box, along with their special guests that they've had over the course of the weekend, we thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.